At that same moment, Pastor Daniel was in his mansion, pacing in rage. Every mirror in his house had cracked, his power was slipping, and his spirit guides were silent. When he tried to pray, his Bible burst into flames. He screamed, "Who dares curse me?" But the answer came not from spirits. It came from the heavens. Thunder rolled over Lagos like judgment itself. 2 weeks after the strange service, whispers began spreading across Lagos. A popular gossip blog posted an article, "Missing University Girl Linked to Pastor of River of Fire Ministries." Within hours, the post went viral. Comment sections exploded. Some defended their pastor, others demanded answers. Daniel called a press meeting, smiling calmly as cameras flashed. "These are lies from agents of darkness," he declared. "We will pray for them." But behind the polished suit, his hands shook. He called Chike 10 times, no answer. The next morning, police cars were seen around the university area. Amara watched the news on TV, her stomach twisting. "It's starting," she whispered. The same day, she received a text from an unknown number. "You saw too much. Delete the pictures, or you're next." Chike hid in a cheap motel near Mile 2, drinking from a bottle of gin with trembling hands. The fear was choking him. He dialed a number, Inspector Tunde's. "Oga, I get something to tell you. Everything where they happened for that church. The money, the girls, not true," he said, voice cracking. "Meet me for." Then the line went dead. A loud knock echoed at the door. Before Chike could move, the door burst open. A man in a black hoodie stepped in, face hidden. 2 gunshots shattered the silence. When police arrived hours later, they found Chike's phone in a pool of blood. The last dialed number was Inspector Tunde's. His death was ruled a robbery, but Tunde knew better. The war between light and darkness had claimed its first witness. Pastor Daniel couldn't eat or sleep. The faces of his victims haunted him, Ngozi's most of all. Every night, he heard her soft voice whispering prayers. The mirrors in his mansion now reflected shadows that moved when he didn't. His sermons became shorter, his temper sharper. Church members began to murmur, "Pastor no de smile again." One night, he smashed every mirror in his house. But as glass scattered across the floor, he saw something that froze his heart. Written in red on the wall behind him were the words, "The altar remembers." He screamed and fell to his knees. For the first time, he tried to pray sincerely, but the heavens were silent. Amada couldn't stay silent anymore. She packed her phone, evidence, and courage and went to the police station. When Inspector Tunde saw her, he recognized her from the anonymous photos. "You're the one who sent these," he said softly. She nodded, trembling. "He's not who people think he is. I've seen it." For hours, she told him everything, the hidden box, the strange rituals, the threats. Tunde listened carefully, recording every word. "You've just risked your life, Sister Amara," he said quietly. "But your truth may save many." He promised her protection. But deep down, he knew Daniel had eyes everywhere. As she left the station that night, a black car followed her silently through the streets of Lagos. At midnight, Daniel entered his private prayer room again. He lit 7 candles and placed his blood-stained ring in the center. "I gave you everything," he shouted at the dark corner. "My money, my soul. Why are you turning on me?" The shadows moved, forming the faint outline of a horned figure. Its voice echoed like wind through the room. "Because you forgot who owns the altar," he screamed and threw the ring into the fire. The flames rose high, shaking the room. Then a violent wind blew, knocking him down. When he looked up, the wall where his church's logo hung was cracked clean through. Outside, thunder rolled across Lagos again. Somewhere across town, Mama Grace awoke and whispered, "The beginning of his end has come." By morning, Lagos was buzzing. Radio stations, blogs, and social media were flooded with whispers about Pastor Daniel. Members of his church argued in group chats. Some defended him, others claimed they had always suspected something strange. The once revered name, Pastor D, now carried doubt and fear. Even his assistants began avoiding his calls. Daniel caught the news in silence. His phone rang nonstop, but no one offered comfort, only questions. His face appeared on TV under bold letters: "Popular pastor under investigation for missing girls." He smashed the remote against the wall and sank into his chair. The walls of his mansion, once symbols of power, now felt like a prison closing in. Mama Grace went to the church gates, demanding to see her son. Security men hesitated, but eventually let her through. She found Daniel pacing his office, his eyes red from sleepless nights. "Daniel," she said softly, "the truth you hide will soon walk by itself." He turned angry. "Mama, stop this. You don't understand what I built." She stared at him calmly. "Nothing built on lies will fall, my son. Heaven has started sweeping." Tears filled his eyes, but pride held them back. "Go home, Mama. Pray for your village people, not for me." She looked at him one last time. "You're not fighting them, Daniel. You are fighting yourself." When she left, Daniel collapsed at his desk, shaking. For the first time, the sound of his mother's footsteps leaving felt heavier than a curse. Inspector Tunde's office was filled with tension. He said to his team, "We have the witness, the photos, and the pattern, but to bring him down, we need to catch him making one last move." They planned a quiet surveillance around Daniel's mansion. A young officer disguised himself as a delivery man, planting a small camera by the gate. Later that night, Tunde sat watching the feed on his laptop. Daniel was pacing outside, talking on the phone, his voice rising. "I will bring no one down. Not the police, not that girl, not even God," he shouted. Tunde leaned closer to the screen, whispering, "You already did it yourself, Pastor." After her police statement, Amada stayed in a safe house arranged by Inspector Tunde. The quiet was strange. She missed singing in church, even though her heart ached at the thought of returning there. One evening, she sat by the window, writing in her diary, "Truth is not safe, but silence kills faster." The words gave her strength. A soft knock came at her door. It was Mama Grace. "My daughter, the storm is almost over." They prayed together until dawn, their voices steady and sure. For the first time in weeks, Amada slept peacefully, unaware that the next sunrise would change everything. At sunrise, police cars surrounded the River of Fire Ministries.